Yes. You're locked into another episode of the Red Sea podcast. And tonight we have Arsenal versus Liverpool in the Cup, or should we say Liverpool versus Arsenal. The legs have been switched around. Liverpool play first in the home leg tomorrow evening and the return leg at the Emirates. Will Liverpool run out victors after the much anticipated semi-final between these two heavyweights in the Premier League? We dissect the information and everything Arsenal-Liverpool on the other side of this intro.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of our field gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
Oi. Matching tonight, mate.
We are, mate.
A man with good taste. And don't worry, guys, we didn't decide that we were going to wear exactly the same thing. It's just happened.
Well, I've got blue underneath, so I had to cover up. I know you're not a fan.
I hate it. No, but, mate, at the moment, in other news, currently, Chelsea are beating Spurs in the other semi-final in the Cup. It's 3-0 on aggregate, 59 minutes played. Antonio Rudiger with the headed goal for Chelsea. Spurs have had a number of penalty decisions go against them, and rightly so. There have not been penalties. The first one was Antonio Rudiger, who fouled the Spurs player outside of the box, which was Højbjerg. And the second one was an absolutely fantastic tackle on the inside of the box, or a challenge from Kepa, the much publicised and much disgraced Chelsea goalkeeper.
And a bit of redemption.
Definitely. He's played some good football tonight, keeping an eye on it. He's actually been very, very good. And the tackle was absolutely fantastic. Initially, he's just made another world-class save. Like, he's playing some serious football. And initially, Andre Mariner, who's the official on the day, gives it as a penalty, but goes to the monitor and overturns it, and rightly so, because it was a fantastic bit of play from Kepa. And again, the ball goes in from Spurs. Great ball from Harry Kane. Oh, you should have got there. The ball goes in from Spurs. Sensational header from the Spurs player, which looks like Emerson Royale, directly on target from a delivery from no other than Doherty, who's playing. Emerson Royale gets up like an absolute salmon, and Kepa is equal to it. Like, looking at it now, mate, it's a great save. It looks easy. The replays always make these saves look easier.
Yeah, slow them down, don't they?
Yeah, they slow him down. It looks like, he should have got there. But honestly, in real time, he's leapt up, he's got there, and he's done well. I mean, this has turned into an absolute battle. It's looking like Battle of the Bridge all over again. They're kicking lumps out of each other. They're playing some decent football. Harry Kane, and they're in again. Spurs are in again. Wrong ball from Emerson Royale. And Højbjerg slapping the ground because he knows, he's been dragged down. Is he going to get something? Is he going to look at it again? Spurs, honestly, mate, Spurs are playing some serious ball.
Wait until they're 3-0 down and out the time to turn up.
Yeah, honestly, like literally, Spurs are playing some serious football. Well, hold on, Chelsea on the break. Mate, he's just chopped.
It's end to end now.
Sorry, guys, this is end-to-end football. He literally just chopped Lukaku to get the ball back. Obviously, Conte's given them an absolute rocket at half-time. I can imagine a few F's, Jeffs.
Because he dropped a few players. I was quite surprised. 2-0 down from the first leg, you think, okay, it's not over. You've got 90 minutes of football. If you can get 2-2, goes to pens. But they dropped Lloris and a few other players. I thought they would have gone for a bit more. It's almost like they've rolled over.
No, I think he's kind of sending a message to a couple, to be fair. You know what Conte's like. He gets his way. But Chelsea seem to have established a little bit of control back of the ball, and the game's taken. No, look, there you go. Tanganga is literally roughing up Lukaku. To be honest, Tanganga's just been bodying Lukaku for most of the game. But guys, we're not here to talk about Chelsea and Spurs because they're both teams that are in the mud as far as I'm concerned. We have got the business end of the League Cup. And look, I don't want to seem defeatist, but it is a realistic opportunity for Liverpool to get some much needed silverware. Yeah. I've kind of changed my approach in regards to what my expectation is of this glittering era we've got at the club. We need to win this era with as many trophies as we possibly can. And if that means League Cup, FA Cup, Cup doubles, a little bit of Champions League, the occasional Premier League, I'm okay with it. I want us to challenge every single season, but I want us to win silverware. That's what teams are remembered by. We're looking at Chelsea on the screen now, and Chelsea's fans are always like, how much silverware have you won? Did you know what I mean?
Well, multiple trophies in one season. I was watching a really good episode on Triple Eight Sport. You had Rory Jennings and different people on there discussing the greatest Premier League winners of all time, and the best eras. And they're like mentioning, the double team of Chelsea, Ancelotti, or the treble winning team of United in 99. And 08, United won 3 Premier Leagues in a row. And that's the next level for Liverpool, isn't it? We've won one of each under this kind of current crop of players, which, as you say, is the best Liverpool team we've ever seen in our 30 years of being on this planet. It would be a shame if we reach the end of the Klopp era, albeit we've been up against Manchester City, the absolute juggernaut. Yes, it's brilliant that we've won one of them each, but we want more. And like you say, this current group of players, Van Dijk, Trent, Salah, Fabinho, players that are the best in the world in their positions and in the prime of their careers, and some of them not even reached it yet. It'd be a crying shame to end with just those two. And I feel like we've kind of skipped a step as Liverpool because we were shit and won fuck all. And then suddenly we started to concentrate on the Premier League and Champions League as realistic targets and kind of skip the whole cup kind of era of an Arsenal. Well, let's win the FA Cup while we can't win anything else. So I'm all for giving up the cups if it means we get 10% more chance to win the big two. But why not? We're in the semi-finals. We've got Arsenal. I look at Chelsea, Spurs, and over 2 legs, Chelsea are going to be too strong. And to be fair, Liverpool should have way too much for Arsenal over 180 minutes or so.
I would hope so. And you obviously saw the score changing rapidly on the bottom of our timeline there.
Harry Kane.
Spurs got a goal with Harry Kane, 1-0, but it's been chalked off for offside. And again, we are back to 3-0 on aggregate to Chelsea. And I will say Spurs have been incredibly unlucky. Ryan Sessegnon comes on and Matt Doherty makes way. Conte looking to switch it up and get in behind and actually get some goals in this fixture. Tuchel looking to make 3 changes. The arrival of Ziyech, Thiago Silva and Marcus Alonso.
Some bench tonight, that Chelsea bench.
It's a serious bench. I think Tuchel's looking to kill the game off. 65 minutes played in this fixture at the moment. And Chelsea could potentially, and already do, have one foot, if not both feet, in the final.
Couple of hands.
Heading over to Wembley. Yeah, a couple of hands heading over to Wembley in this game. But look, let's get into the meat and the bones. And as we do on these shows, we like to go into the recent head-to-head. So take it away, my friend.
Absolutely. So, we played them back in November. A nice 4-0 win at Anfield. Mane, Jota, Salah, all the front three getting on the score sheet, and even Taki getting on at the end as well. That was also the 3rd team that Liverpool have now scored 100 Premier League goals against, which is quite impressive. Can you name the other 2? A little cheeky quiz.
Ooh, no, go on.
It's Newcastle and Spurs, the other 2. So
I'm not surprised.
100 goals against those 3 teams. Before that, we played them back in April at the Emirates in the league. Behind closed doors, 3-0 on that day. Jota with a couple of goals and Salah standard getting on the score sheet on that day. The last time we played them before that was actually the League Cup, same competition that we're in tomorrow night, 0-0, and a penalty shootout defeat on that occasion. And if you remember, I had to kind of mention this one, October 2019, again in the League Cup, Liverpool 5, Arsenal 5, and that day we won on penalties. It was a ridiculous game. Divock Origi on the score sheet, Chamberlain with an absolute banger. I'm sure Willock scored an absolute sensational goal as well. So that was a very famous classic League Cup tie. So we've had the rub of the green, I'd say, so in the Premier League lately. Arsenal Liverpool always used to be a game that I'd look at as, we're not going to get anything out of this game. Throughout the 2000s, Arsenal had our number. Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, they were miles better than us. And we used to go to the Emirates, and a 3-0 defeat was like, get in, get out, and we didn't get humiliated. But it's definitely flipped. Liverpool are now where Arsenal were, kind of the second best team in the league, chasing United when Arsenal were in their prime. We're now chasing the other side of Manchester, and Arsenal have kind of dropped to that where Liverpool were, kind of fighting for 4th place and not really consistently getting it either. So massively changed around. But I would hope we can continue the recent good form tomorrow.
I totally agree with you. And I mean, as we're talking about a bit of nostalgia, the amount of fixtures that Liverpool have had against Arsenal, it's one of the highest scoring fixtures in the Premier League history. Liverpool and Arsenal. I remember the Robbie Keane goal. Probably the best moment he had in a Liverpool shirt, or one and only moments he had in a Liverpool shirt, because that Liverpool career abruptly came to an end. From the summer till January, and he was back at Spurs. And I remember the Philippe Coutinho goal, top corner at the Emirates.
And
Sadio Mane as well. So it's a fixture that's been kind to Liverpool in terms of goals. And what kind of change we've been able to get out of Arsenal in recent years, because it's true, and all Arsenal fans will be very honest to say that Arsenal are not the Arsenal of old. They do have a soft core at the moment, or do they? And we're going to explore that a little bit more throughout this show tonight.
Yeah.
And look, let's talk a little bit Liverpool, because we spent a little bit of time on Arsenal in that last little bit there, but it's been well documented that Liverpool had a number of false positive or COVID test or positive COVID test at the point, which caused the initial fixture to be cancelled. And there was total hysteria and delirium on the timeline. Liverpool have done this on purpose. Yeah. They can't get away with it. This is absolutely dreadful. The league have to do something. They should be suspended from the competition. I mean, some of the stuff that you were reading on the timeline was absolutely ridiculous. But I'm not here to leap to the defense of my football club, because I feel that the way that this is being handled as a whole, not just for Liverpool, but every single team, there is lack of transparency in how this is dealt with. And I understand some of the reasons why because if you're Liverpool, you don't want to turn around and say straight away that we've got no Thiago, we've got no Matip, we've got no Van Dijk, we've got no Firmino, we've got no Alisson Becker. That weakens you massively. And teams will play on that. But in the same instance, can teams, and I'm not insinuating anything here, but in the same instance, can teams be guilty of jumping on the COVID bandwagon and playing on that?
It's true. I mean, at the time, Liverpool had false positives, but they believed them to be positives. So at the time, if they believe, half the squad's got COVID, you have to apply for a cancellation. I understand it looks a little bit sus, a few days later, a week later, and they say, do you know what? It was only Trent that actually got it. Everybody else was actually false. Could they have repeated the test? I imagine they probably did, and they must have given false positives again. But there's such an agenda against Liverpool, isn't there, that I didn't really realize until I went into the podcast arena. There's so much hate for Liverpool out there, but I think they did the right thing, because with the information that they had at the time. But like you say, that there's been some very suspicious ones. For example, Leicester, half their players were at the darts, and then yesterday match with Everton was postponed again when they had games cancelled, postponed, then they come back and play, and then it's cancelled again. So it's an interesting one. For me, Liverpool have really only been the only team I've seen to actually name the people that have had it. I don't think anybody else has come out and said quite so specifically. And I know we didn't, like you mentioned at the time last week when this game was supposed to be played, or the reverse fixture was meant to be played. But I think genuinely, like we said at the time when we popped on for that kind of special show, there was literally not the information to release who had it, because they weren't 100% sure there was too many. So now moving on, they've confirmed, it was Trent that had it, actually only positive properly test. Everybody else was false. So again, even though they know they're going to be, criticized for that release, they've been transparent, and the games before with Newcastle and the Champions League and the League Cup game against Leicester, we named, and not shamed, but we named the players that had it and that were missing. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's been handled brilliantly by the entire league, postponing games here and there and everywhere. And I think originally the first ones that were cancelled all seemed a little bit more in terms of, we've got people at the African nations, we've got injuries and COVID, and that's why we're missing players. But like you say, we've got academies, we've got under 23s, and like we saw against Shrewsbury, again, we were still missing a lot of players, but, it is Shrewsbury, but we played what we had. You saw the defense was basically first choice, the attack, not so much. And that was the best 11 we had available. So I'm interested to see who plays tomorrow.
I totally agree, and the key thing is and leading on from that, will the big guns be back after a number of false positives were returned by Liverpool before the scheduled tie or the original scheduled tie? Will obviously given the lack of availability of some of our stars because they're otherwise engaged at the AFCONs. Obviously, we know Salah's there, we know Mane's there, and we know Keita's there. 2 of our 3 stars return positive results. Little pun on words there, positive results.
Very clever.
In Naby Keita and Sadio Mane running out 1-0 victors in their respective fixtures. But unfortunately, Mo Salah taken a 1-0 loss in his opening fixture as well. He might be back sooner than we think.
No, I looked into this, and I can drop a little bit of information. So, they have to come third at least to probably have a chance of going through, which you'd expect even with the loss to Nigeria, who are the strongest team in their group. They're still going to probably come through and qualify. They're going to beat one of the other 2 teams. So even if they get through to the last 16, he's still not coming back and getting a game in really than he would have done anyway. It's the best we could hope. If he went out in the group stage, he'd come back 4 days before Palace. Would that be enough time to get into the team anyway with travel?
It's Mo Salah.
He'll be
back on the day and he'll play.
if he went out in the group stage, he might make that game. But because there's an international break anyway, there's a kind of 2-week break where he would come back into the squad regardless. So whether they get to the groups, the last 16, the quarterfinal, or win the whole thing, he still misses the same games anyway. So it's not really too much of let's hope he goes out. They're out there, they're missing what they're missing, no matter how they do. Good luck to them all.
Yeah, I totally agree. But look, the likes of Alisson Becker could return. We think about Klopp's press conference today, and he says that everybody, bar the injuries we know about and the absences that we know about, is fully fit. Obviously, we know about Thiago with the hip injury. Harvey Elliott, it said that he'll be back in first team training or potentially back in first team training as of next week. And Klopp said today he looks in good form.
Brilliant.
Or looks good in terms of what they've seen on the training pitch coming back from such a horrific injury. So I'm wondering what kind of lineup are we going to see? As I mentioned at the start of the show, this is probably a very realistic prospect of Liverpool lifting some silverware very early on in the season, a competition which we haven't won since 2010.
Yeah, 2012, I think it was. Was it against Cardiff?
2012. Under Kenny Dalglish. So it's been a long time since we lifted this trophy. So it's a chance to actually get some silverware in the bank early doors. A semi-final. We've not been in semi-finals of a cup competition or in the League Cup competition or FA Cup competition for a long time. Does Jurgen Klopp go with the strongest available side, or does he shuffle his pack and play some of the kids?
I think he goes full strength. I think we see the return of the first choice 11 tomorrow night. We've got Brentford on Sunday, but realistically, I know some of them had COVID, but a lot of those were false positives. Some of these lads haven't played a high level game for a while now, 10, 11 days. So Van Dijk played, Robertson played, Konate played, Fabinho played against Shrewsbury. All due respect, Fabinho got a couple of the goals, which was phenomenal to see. So yeah, I think it's Arsenal. It's like you said, it's a competition that we can win. We've not had a massively busy schedule, funnily enough, with all the kind of postponements, etc. So I would expect a full on, the first choice, the best 11 that you can think of that is available. Thiago is injured, so minus him, minus Mane, minus Salah. You're going to probably see the best 11 players on that pitch. It's just in case of who's he going to go with up front with Jota and Firmino. That's the only one I'm not 100% sure on. He's going to pick a midfielder. Obviously, you'd probably think Chamberlain or Milner with Keita away to fill that third spot. And it's a flip of a coin with Matip and Konate. Probably Matip as Konate played at the weekend.
And that leads us nicely on to, obviously, we're talking about who we could potentially pick in those positions due to the absences of the AFCON and injury. I mean, but Mane and Salah at the AFCON and Origi seamlessly injured, who's been a cup hero for Liverpool and provided goals in the cup for us. It's been a moment, a part of his strength and his contributions this season.
Yeah.
Who is going to take and who's going to partner Firmino and Jota up top? Because Firmino and Jota have similarities. We know that Jota can go wide.
Yeah.
Firmino, notoriously, obviously, normally plays through the centre.
Yeah.
So who's going to play out on the wide right?
I think it's got to be Taki, isn't it? I mean, levels in the Carabao Cup this season have been brilliant. I mean, he got the equaliser against Leicester. Has he got four goals in the League Cup this season or something like that?
Something like that.
He's the League Cup king for Liverpool, him and Origi. So I think Taggy should get the nod based on his performances in this competition, and based on the fact that he's probably more of a front three player than an Ox. I would suggest Origi isn't really a wide player for me. He can go there, but I think he's a little bit too lazy to be a wide player. He's more of a number 9. So I think Jota left, Firmino right, Jota left, Firmino in the middle, Taki on the right, Fabinho CDM, Hendo on the right-hand side of midfield, probably Ox or Milner on the left-hand side, depending on who's looked better in training, and then the flat back 4 with Alisson returning, I would say.
So does Curtis Jones not force his way into that?
Possibly. He's not quite returned yet. He did feature against Shrewsbury, didn't he? I think he did play. Yeah. So possibly. Again, it's such a difficult position to choose because, as we've mentioned, as we've chatted in the WhatsApp groups and everything else, nobody really has consistently played in that third midfield position. So it is honestly a bit of a free for all at the moment. So yeah, Jones may get the nod in this one, and then he might rest Ox for that position at the weekend, or he might play both of them and give Hendo the night off. I don't know, but I would expect as strong as you can see, probably going by who's been best this season. And I think Ox has probably played more games than Jones this season. So I would imagine Ox may get the nod. It's kind of been Ox versus Keita for the last few weeks, with Jones slowly coming back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Jones come off the bench. I'm not sure how many subs you get in the League Cup, but I think slowly Jones will start to creep in as a sub 80, 70, 60 and might eventually get a little nod when the thick and fast games return. When we go back to Champions League, we're going to need options. We're going to need rotation.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So look, let's jog it on slightly. I mean, the key question here is, have Arsenal actually turned a corner? I mean, they look like they're playing some decent football at the moment. They've been able to string results together that we haven't seen from Arsenal for a long time. It does look like Arteta is actually getting them playing some decent football. And I know that league form isn't always a pointer towards cup form, because teams play better football sometimes in the cup because we get teams that are better suited to cup competitions, or we get teams that are better suited to league competitions. But you cannot deny that Arsenal's current form is good. I mean, of the last 5 fixtures that they've played, they have 4 wins out of 5. So they've gone 4 wins on the bounce, which isn't bad considering, Arsenal being labelled the kind of the joke team of the Premier League for a long time. Banter
FC.
Banter FC, and people tuning into AFTV just to see the rants from our friends over there. So, I mean, what can we expect? Do we expect Arsenal to come out absolutely firing? Because I think this is their only realistic chance of any silverware this season.
No, it is, isn't it? Which is a shame. They're not in Europe this season. They have been, trying in the Europa League for a couple of years and did reach a final and did lose to Chelsea. But I don't know. I just think I look at Arsenal's results and I just think they're being overrated. They're being overhyped. They're not that. They're no better than they have been, in my opinion, for the last 2 years. I just think Man United and Spurs are worse. I just think they're in 4th and 5th because the competition around them is just as poor. I mean, you mentioned the last few results. They've lost to Forest, they lost to City, they beat Norwich, nothing special. They beat Sunderland, nothing special. They beat Leeds and West Ham, not too bad, but they lost to Everton, lost to United, so lost to us 4-0. So they've still got that kind of soft centre, soft belly. They could just drop an unpredictable, pathetic performance. And I hear all these Arsenal fans going, we were brilliant against Man City. You lost. It doesn't matter. That's the best I've seen Arsenal play for 2 or 3 years. Well, I actually feel sorry for you then. If a loss is the best performance you've seen.
I think they were incredibly unlucky to lose. I think a draw would have been warranted. All considered. I think they were incredibly unlucky to walk out of there without anything. Also, some dubious refereeing decisions on the day as well. I must say, the referee did kill the game for them. So I do have some empathy with Arsenal. But if we talk about some of the results you've listed there, they're beating who they should be beating. And respectfully, Arsenal haven't done that for a number of years, especially under Arteta.
Yeah.
There's lose fixtures which they shouldn't be losing. You know, it's very erratic, very unpredictable. You never know what Arsenal were going to turn up. So for me, I do think they have slightly turned a corner. You're seeing resilient performances from Partey. You're seeing finally Pierre Aubameyang being dropped. I know he's away at the African Cup of Nations, but even prior to that, he was dropped because I think that Arteta is now getting his way and he's able to put his stamp on this Arsenal team. Martinelli's coming and had to bide his time, but he's coming and he's looked very, very dangerous. He's a player with a lot of talent, a lot of pace, a lot of aggression, determination. And Joel Matip up against him in a foot race, there's only one winner in that. And that's Martinelli. Virgil van Dijk, I would say, is quicker than him or as quick as Martinelli. And his reading of the game will be a lot better. So his positioning will be a lot better. And for that reason, I don't think we play Matip because I don't think that Matip has the pace to keep up with that front three of Martinelli, Saka, and Smith Rowe. Obviously, Pepe again away at the African Cup of Nations. So, you know, it's looking like that could be the front three. They almost play a front four because of Odegaard fits into that somewhere along the way as well. So they've got attacking strengths all across that front lineup of the park. And then at the moment, Partey in his last game, especially against Manchester City, it's almost like he's actually the player they signed has now arrived because he was resilient. He tackled. He even created. He was getting forward. He went on a fantastic run and couldn't finish off with a goal. Unfortunately, he just lacked at the last minute and he could have had a goal out of it. He looks like he's invigorated. It looks like he's over any little niggles that he's been carrying. So I do think Arsenal do possess some unknown quantities and some unknown threats. It's whether that they can keep that same level of form and that same level of aggression and determination in their performances to actually prove the doubters wrong and go out in the game and take it to Liverpool. You know, Jurgen Klopp was asked in his press conference today, have you almost surrendered the home advantage because it's always good to play home second, and what his thoughts were? And he was open. He said, yeah, playing at home in the second leg is fantastic. And he referred to it as the magical powers that Anfield possesses. It's true. I'm really, really sorry, guys. It's not a myth. If you come to Liverpool in a cup competition, the place is electric. It's a different feeling, let alone in the Champions League, let alone the cup semi-final. And playing in that fixture second would have benefited us. There's no doubt it would have benefited us. So Arsenal in some way do have that advantage to be playing away from home to start with, because if they do take a shoe in at Anfield, then they're at home. There's all to play for. And again, I'm sure the Emirates, the crowd at the Emirates at the clock end could be just as hostile if they wanted to be, you know, as for us at the COP. They could be just as hostile. They could make it just as difficult for Liverpool heading over to the Emirates in the second fixture.
No, I agree with you. I think, you know, if you get teams back to Anfield, whatever you need, you know, whether it's you got to beat Barca 4-0, if you concede, you're out. We know what we've got to do, and we can do it with the fans behind us. But I've also seen this
suck the ball into the net, don't we?
They do.
Yeah,
they really do. But on the flip side of that, I have seen us kill ties at Anfield in the first leg. You know, we've blown teams away. Roma 5-1. I know, you know, it was a lot more closer than it should have been towards the end of the second leg. But you know, teams have come to Anfield and absolutely been blown away. And you know, realistically, we could win this game for me by 3 goals and almost kind of guarantee the second leg as a little bit of a dead rubber and potentially do a little bit of rotation. I mean, I remember that probably the most famous, most recent 2-legged tie between these two clubs was the Champions League match in, I think it was 2007, something like that. Ryan Babel running through the whole team, getting a penalty for Gerrard, and Theo Walcott doing the same for Arsenal. But yeah, that game, you know, we got it back to Anfield, and it was definitely an advantage to have the second leg at Anfield in that one, because it got quite tight. It was very high stakes, and of course, tomorrow night's nowhere near that kind of level. It's not a Champions League quarter final, but yeah, I do agree that the home advantage in the second game definitely would have been preferable. But you know, we're playing Arsenal. I think if you're playing against Chelsea or Man City, that could make the difference. It's really small margins. But if we can't beat Arsenal over 180 minutes with the team that we have, you know, you mentioned some of their players, and I think the young ones have definitely stepped on, the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe. I think Ramsdale's been really good since he's come in. But for me, they've still got these kind of Xhaka, Lacazette players that just have been there forever and aren't getting any better and are slowly declining. So, you know, it's very hard. And that's where you get the inconsistency from. You can't rely on teenagers to be the best version of themselves week in, week out, whether that's against Nottingham Forest or Manchester City. They can't choose when and where they play their best football and when they take their chances. So, you know, we've got an 11 of you know, seasoned pros that have been there and won everything and played on the biggest stage. And this current Arsenal team, you know, none of them really have ever played in a big game. There's one or two. You know, you look at Partey, he's been at Atletico Madrid, and you know, obviously Aubameyang before that, but he won't be featuring tomorrow. But, you know, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Ben White, Kieran Tierney, Martinelli, Odegaard, you know, he was at Madrid for a bit, but didn't really play. Saka, you know, has played in a big game for England, but club-wise, these players have never really played in big semi-finals, big finals. And I just think that Liverpool, yes, we've not done much in domestic competitions, but 2 Champions League finals and a Premier League title running, you know, times 2. I just think that kind of experience will play dividends. And I think that's why you see Chelsea again. They've just got those players that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt at this level and this stage of a competition, can just wipe Tottenham away, really. I think we can do something very similar.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with anything that you're saying there, but almost that youthful exuberance kind of takes the pressure away. They can go and play with total freedom. There's no worry there of being, you know, victimized or belittled in terms of your performances. And I think that's where Arsenal are enjoying some success. Arsenal, and by their own admission, will say that the Emirates has been a very toxic place for the last couple of seasons, very much since the end of the Wenger era, where Arsenal fans are expecting a lot more from the crop of players they had. They were not being realistic because they were almost living in the decade before when they were dominant. You know, the Vieiras, the Henrys, the Petits, the Overmars, the Tony Adams, the David Seamans of this world. You know, they were still stuck. The Bergkamps, the Wiltords, Pires, the list of players, the Lundbergs, the list of players in there that they've had over the years is absolutely sensational. But there comes a point with every club when there is a demise and then there is a rebuild, and it's almost like the phoenix rises from the ashes. Are we seeing that with Arsenal at the moment? Are we seeing the start of something that can potentially catapult them back into the Champions League? Because we know how important Champions League is, or European football is, for any team in the Premier League. Without European football, it's very, very difficult to attract the top class, world-class talents, the players that want to come to the Premier League. Arsenal have the benefit of being in Europe. Being in London. They're a London-based team. You couple that with Europe. We saw it when we lost out ourselves to Arsenal in a bid to sign Alexis Sanchez. That deal was all but done. It wasn't included in the deal for Suarez to go to Barcelona, but Liverpool were very, very confident. So much so that our own Phil Thompson leaked it all over national press and all over Sky News and said, yeah, it's done. To only find out on the Monday that his missus turns on and goes, I don't want to live in Liverpool, I want to live in London. Yeah. And Liverpool arguably at that point were a better team than Arsenal. We were a better team. We'd had a better season. We'd finished second in the Premier League. You know, only to the victors, Manchester City, again by 2 frigging points. But Alexis Sanchez happened to have chose London life. Is that what Arsenal are missing? Are they missing European football of some degree to really kick on now and actually be a force? And is a cup win or a sustained cup challenge going to further reinforce that statement?
I think you're spot on with what you say. I think you can win 5 FA Cups and 5 League Cups. If you went in the Champions League, you went improving. You know, look how important it was. Klopp's second season, where Gini Wijnaldum scores on the final day, and we finished 4th, and that's you know, that was the catalyst for this entire Klopp era, because we had the season before where we got to the Europa League final, and if we'd have won that, we'd have qualified for the Champions League. Unfortunately, Sevilla got the better of us that day. It delayed us by 12 months, which is a massive shame. But it is what it is. But Champions League qualification is all that matters, because if in the summer, a player that was looking at joining your club isn't going to go, did you win any domestic cups last season? Did you qualify for the Europa League through that? I literally could not care less. Did you qualify for the Champions League? Oh, okay, no problem. I'm going to go to someone that did, because, Chelsea have become that London pull. And I know we've had Lee Judges on good friend of the channel, but I have to disagree with him. Chelsea has been the best and the biggest team in London for a while now. A good getting on for 20 years of being the best team in London. I'm sorry to say it, but they are. You have to look at league finishes, league titles, two Champions League wins. I mean, you can't just say, Arsenal were better than Chelsea from 1950 to the year 2004. All right, yeah, they were. But where have you been for the last 2 decades? So I think that pull of London, it's always going to be there. Man United aren't great, but they've still got the pull of we're Manchester United. But as you've just correctly said, if you couple that with we're in the Champions League, then you start to go places, which was the same with us. We were a big club, but we could only get Stuart Downing because we weren't in the Champions League. As soon as we qualified, look who started to come through the door. Look who we started to get. And then you've got that Liverpool 11 suddenly evolved into a team that can win the big trophies. I mean, if Arsenal qualify for the Champions League, realistically, how many of this 11 are going to be there? If they want to win the Champions League and win the league, other than a couple of these youngsters, I think they probably need to get 7, 8 first teamers in that team to compete, really.
Yeah, I think that they're almost going about their business in the right way. I like what I'm seeing from Arsenal. I can see or sense a change of tact with the way they're going to market. They're bringing in good quality young players. Tomiyasu looks like a good find. Partey is a good find. Ramsdale has surpassed everybody's expectations as a goalkeeper and come in and displaced Bert Leno. I think that Arteta kind of rude getting rid of Martinez. To be fair, Martinez is a much better goalkeeper than Bert Leno. I had this conversation with many Arsenal fans, and they couldn't see it. They were like, "No, he's been at the club 10 years and not." That doesn't mean anything. In the time that he's been at the club, you've had some half-decent shot stoppers, but goalkeepers are a fine wine. They mature with age. Martinez has been the difference for Aston Villa over the last season and a half, 2 seasons that he's been there. He's gone on and lifted the cuppa. Let's be honest. He's now got trophies in his cabinet, all since he left Arsenal Football Club. So that doesn't tell me there's a problem with him as a goalkeeper. That told me there was an inherent problem with you as a team, that you were not prepared to move away from that sentiment, that love for Bert Leno, when really he was costing you games week in, week out and making silly mistakes. Now you've taken the plunge and you've brought in a goalkeeper which is fearless. He's playing with total.
Done really well.
He's fearless. And again, I often say anybody can throw themselves around between 2 sticks and make these glamorous saves and so on and so forth. But
Hollywood.
Hollywood saves. But in terms of what you would expect from a goalkeeper at that level of the game, I feel he's answering all the questions that is being asked of him. We talk about he's had 4 relegations in as many seasons, and that can only potentially stand him in good stead in terms of learning and going forward in the game. And he seems like he's put a lot of that behind him and is playing some good football. The signing of Ben White as well can't be underpinned as well, because he's actually gone in there and played some decent football, because that back 4 for many, many years has looked very, very unstable since the days of, Adams, Keown, Bold, Cole, Lauren. They've not, Campbell.
Yeah.
They've not had a serious back 4. But I'm not saying that their current back 4 is anywhere near the level of those, because then it's not. You'd be stupid to think. But what they do have is they've got 2 centre halves that don't mind defending. And within those 2 centre halves, you've got one that's happy to play football as well. And we were linked with Ben White.
Yeah, we were.
We were linked heavily with Ben White. And again, very, very open. Klopp is an admirer. But the sums just didn't make sense to us, because we're not in a position where Arsenal are. They have, we don't have to pay those levels and those numbers to attract players anymore, because we have the Champions League.
Correct.
Ben White's going, well, Liverpool were heavily linked, and they're in the Champions League. And Brighton are going, well, they're in the Champions League, so you're going to have to pay me what I want for me to come here. And yes, the London pool's there, but arguably, we went for Ibrahima Konate, a player with Champions League experience. You know, Ben White didn't have that. So there is a difference between, you know, almost what prices we're paying and where we're shopping. You know, at the moment, we're shopping in Harrods, and Arsenal are currently shopping in John Lewis.
It's true though, isn't it? When you are a team out of that top bracket, you do have to spend so much money on bang average players because you're buying from teams.
Andy Carroll, we did it.
Yeah. So we've done it. You know, you're buying from teams that realistically you're competing neck and neck with. Let's be fair. You know, Arsenal and Brighton have both gone into this season going, European football will be good.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely both got the, you know, I know Arsenal are most likely going to come above Brighton, but, you know, for a while in this season, Brighton were above Arsenal at the beginning of the season. So you have to pay massive money because, you know, Stuart Downing from when we bought him, you know, we had to pay through the nose. Andy Carroll from Newcastle, we had to pay through the nose. We were just, you know, a top 8 kind of team. Newcastle were around about the same place.
So an example, signing players for you have to get silly wages.
Exactly, you have to overpay, and once you're a big club, like you say, you it almost becomes easy because that attraction is there. You haven't got to splash 50, 60, 70 million on bang average players because you've got that pull and you can be clever in the market. And, you know, when there's a player going for a decent fee or a free transfer, you're that pull, you're that club that they'll go and pick, not for money, but because of you're in the Champions League or the level of the squad that you have. So, yeah, I agree. I think Arsenal, they've got to put so much more money into this already. You know, we see that the game against Nottingham Forest, you know, they're not going to want to go out the FA Cup. Let's be fair. You mentioned the League Cup is their best chance of silverware. They've got a 2-legged tie with Liverpool. That's bloody hard. They had a pretty, you know, a free roll really. Nottingham Forest away in the cup. Let's be fair. They're not even a great championship team at the moment. They're definitely improving, but, you know, they're not going to get promoted as it stands. So massive chance there. And after you've gone through a couple of the key players, you know, these players start to come into Tavares, Holding, Cedric Suarez and Ketia. If these guys are going to play any part tomorrow night again, I think we could see a little bit of a landslide.
Yeah, look, I don't want to over promise and then for us to undeliver because, you know, in the cup competitions, there's often some magic that can happen. You know, we saw Arsenal on the end of it and magic from Nottingham Forest because the form guide would have said that Arsenal should have gone in there and absolutely obliterated them. But, you know, Nottingham Forest remained resilient and stuck in. Well. And we potentially could have had a giant killing of our own on our hands when Shrewsbury scored early doors. We all looked at the side and went, oh, my fripping God. You know, Newcastle went out. You know, Cambridge. What a stellar result for them, and they're literally talking to the Cambridge fans. They're on cloud 9. You know,
they got Luton Town next, my local team.
Exactly, which is a local derby. There's a little bit of hate between those sides, so that'll be a very, very good one. But that's the magic of the cup, whether it's the League Cup or the FA Cup. Results have a funny way of working out. There is nothing stopping Arsenal heading into this fixture and taking the game to Liverpool. As much as I don't want that, I want a nip and tuck result where we get in there, we smash them 3-0, and we can rest everybody in the second leg if we need to. Because like you said, the games are coming thick and fast. Is Jurgen Klopp going to head into this game thinking, let's kill it off from the off? But Arsenal do possess some dangers. They do possess goals in them. And we've already spoken about Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe looks like a player who is on his trajectory is on the up, and his stock is seeming pretty high. So look, as we head into the close of the show, we're going to get to the part which I hate the most and you love the most. The score predictions. And guys, just before we do that, Chelsea have beaten Tottenham 3-0 on aggregate to head through to the final of the League Cup. It was a game that was a few contentious points, refereeing decisions, and Mariner, I think, had a fairly decent game. There was a long stoppage at the end of the game. I'm sure we'll find out what that's for in the pre-match post-match analysis. You know, there was an 8 minute stoppage throughout the last part of the half. But score predictions, my man. I'll go first. I never go first.
Go on.
So I'll go first. I'm thinking personally a 3-1 for Liverpool. I don't think we're going to stop them from scoring. because I do think they've got goals in that lineup, and they're going to be young and hungry and want to really go in there and prove a point. But if we go in there with the sort of team which we think we're going to go in there, I think we have it too much for them and head into the final, which is going to be played on the 27th of February at Wembley.
Fair play. I mean, I think Liverpool will go stronger than Arsenal in lineup wise, because Arsenal have got Tottenham at the weekend, and that is a huge game. Like you said, the importance of Champions League football. And at the minute, it looks like there's only one space up for grabs with West Ham, Arsenal, Spurs, and United all fighting for that last fourth spot. So I genuinely think that Arteta sees the weekend's game as a bigger, more important match, because yes, it's great to get to a League Cup final. Yes, it's great to lift silverware, but they've won a couple of FA Cups, and it's very, very, very slow progression. Very, very slow. It's over. It's not a massive coup to win a cup anymore. It's great. It's nice. It's a tick in the box, and it's great as an addition for a big club. We've mentioned a Premier League and a League Cup is great. A Champions League and a League Cup is great. A League Cup and an FA Cup is great. But one cup on their own, it shows you levels. City, Chelsea, Liverpool win the League Cup this season. That's a failure. Arsenal go into and go, we won a trophy. So, for me, I think they rest a few players. I think Nketiah might play. The Lokonga, Tavares. Will we see those kind of players feature again? Who, didn't particularly play well against Forest, but all due respect, we have got Brentford at the weekend. They did get a bit of a battering against Southampton, and I know we couldn't beat them at their stadium, but we've not really had as many games as we would have probably done leading up to this period. We've only really played Shrewsbury recently, and hardly anybody played in that one either. So I think we're going to go strong. I think Arsenal are going to rest a couple, and I genuinely think we're going to win 3 or 4-0. So I hope this is dead and buried. We can start to bring off some of the players towards the end of the game. Put Nico Williams right wing for the Bants and head on to Brentford.
Yeah, and it would be good to head into the Brentford game with a strong result. Whilst I don't think that League Cup results impact on the Premier League results, but it does give that kind of step, especially after having that long uninvited extended break that some of these players have had due to the false positives or the COVID positive test that we've had. But guys, that's been the Arsenal and Liverpool League Cup preview. SS, what have we got coming up? We're going to obviously do a reaction show after the game to see obviously the fallout, and hopefully it's all very nip and tuck and very, very easy. What time will we be on tomorrow?
Yeah, so Red Sea full time. What time is kickoff? Is it 8 p.m. tomorrow?
I think it's an 8 p.m. Yeah.
So we usually be on about 10 p.m. then. Straight after the game. 7:45. So we'll be on about 9:45 tomorrow night with your instant reaction Red Sea full time. Saturday night we're on for Brentford preview show, and then again about 4 p.m. on Sunday we'll be there for your Red Sea full time for that one as well. And then we're AFCON Monday watch and a Tuesday on the transfers. So yeah, it's a busy period for us at the Red Sea podcast.
It is indeed. And thank you for joining us, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you are liking and subscribing, and you are doing everything to keep up to date with everything that is the Red Sea podcast. If you are not aware, we are on the way to 600 subscribers, and it does feel that we've been on the quest for 600 subscribers for a while. So if you haven't, please head over and give us a like and a subscribe. I've been Tiago's father. This has been my co-host, Southern Scouser. We are over and we are out.